Come in. Well, look who's here. I haven't seen you in many a year.
Hey everyone, I'm back. I'm going to make another dough product tonight. I'm going to make ice buns, simply because I had a good friend come round today who was dropping some goods off, and I'll explain them in a minute. And we got chatting, 2 metres apart of course, and we were chatting about ice buns, and I thought, I like ice buns. The lady behind the camera loves ice buns, so it's her little treat, if you like, for being the best videographer that I know. So let me talk through the ingredients and the recipe. So this is an enriched dough. So very similar to our white bread dough, but we're going to add extra ingredients in it to make it richer, which include things like milk, butter, sugar. So it's a sweeter dough, hence it's enriched. Again, we're using strong flour. I've got some of this now from a little shop in Great Harwood called Turtle Bee. So they are selling it. You do need to take your own container though if you need some, because it's a plastic-free shop. It's very good, so thank you very much to them. But I've also got to say a big thank you to Mr. Johnny Barron, who is one of our friends, JB. There is another name, but I daren't say it on the camera, who called in today with some strong flour from the place where he works called Deli Fresh. They're based over in Bradford. They've got various places around, and he's got me some fresh yeast, which I'm going to show you in a minute. But a big up to Deli Fresh, thank you very much, and well done. They are producing 600 baskets, if you like, of goods for key workers each day and delivering them to them. So not only are they trying to keep the business going, but they're keeping us going as well. So well done to Deli Fresh. So other ingredients, caster sugar. I've got caster sugar. I've got about 50 grams of caster sugar in there. I've already started putting these in there, which Ella's just showing you now. I've got some unsalted butter. You can use salted butter. It doesn't matter, just I've got unsalted butter. I've got some salt in there. I've got a couple of eggs, making it richer again. I've got 30 grams now of fresh yeast. I don't know if you can see that, Ella. That's fresh yeast, and it comes out of the fridge in a block like this. Well, it comes in a kilo block, but Johnny's taken some of it and I've got some of it now. So that's a bit crumbly, and I don't know, you can smell that, Ella. It's quite fruity, isn't it? It's very nice. I love the smell of that. So that's fresh yeast. I'm not going to use all that up, as you can imagine, at home. So I will freeze that, but I need to freeze it and really tightly wrap it in cling film, just to look after it. So you can freeze fresh yeast. So just make sure that you wrap it up really tightly. Just break it down into blocks. Don't do it as a whole, because that would be daft. So 30 gram blocks if you wanted to, and then freeze it down. I've got a mixture. I've got some milk and I've got some water. I'm going to mix the dough, and the mixing is exactly the same as it is. All these ingredients are in apart from those three. Exactly the same as it would be for any other dough. Fresh yeast. You can mix it with the water if you want, with warm water, just to get it going. You don't have to. A bit like dried yeast, you can break it in. But again, it's that, keep it away from the salt and sugar if you can. So I'm just going to put that in there. I've got all the ingredients. I'm going to start the mixing. So I'm going to put my milk in. I'm not going to put all the water in yet, just in case I get too much of a wet dough. And again, you'll get little blocks of butter. It has softened a bit. I did, whoa, softened butter. I'll go back in when I start kneading. And what you'll notice is this will be a little bit of a richer colour, an orangier, that's the word, isn't it? Colour, because of the eggs and the butter that are in there. Again, you can see that mixer that I keep looking at. Vivian Asprey was making bread the other day. I had a tweet off her saying it's very hard to knead this dough. Vivian, you're absolutely right, but I bet it tasted good, didn't it? Hey, fresh bread out of your own oven. I bet that was brilliant. So as you can see, I'm just mixing it now to that dough. And then I'm going to do, a bit of flour again. Got to do what I've got to do, and I'm going to knead it. So we're going to be about 10 minutes kneading this. Ella, are we time framing it again?
Time lapse.
Time lapsing it. I keep getting it wrong. She keeps laughing at me. I'll just get it, start mixing it. you can see. And we're going to make, so it's all lumpy, it's a bit hard, there's little blocks of butter in there, little bits of butter. But when you come back to it, after you've done the time lapse, we'll be all right.
I knew you were coming, I'd have baked a cake, baked a cake, baked a cake. If I knew you were coming, I'd have baked a cake. How'd you do, how'd you do, how'd you do? Had you dropped me a letter, I'd have hired a band, grand band.
So kneading is now done, ready to go, a nice smooth dough. So just like the other days, it may be enriched, but it's now got to double in size. So back into the bowl, cling film over it, nice clean tea towel, anything you've got to put over it. And we'll leave that for about an hour to double in size. And when we come back, what we'll do, we'll add some, we'll make some little balls out of it, roll them out round, and then we'll roll them long. We can either have nice fingers, or you can have little round ones. I'm out of breath. You may have noticed in the time frame, if you really sat through all that, I was adding a little bit of extra flour to it as I was kneading it. That's because it was just getting a bit softer as I'm going through, possibly because of the milk and a bit too much water in it. You can do that, that's not a problem, but you want a nice soft dough, but not one that's really, really, really sticky. There it is, ready to go. We'll see you when we're ready to mould the balls. Okay, so the dough's pretty much ready behind us, but I want to show you first of all is how to line your tray. It sounds a bit daft, and when I said to Ella a minute ago that I was going to do it, she sort of looked at me as if I was daft. Some people do struggle with it. What I've got, you've seen this tray if you watch some of the other videos, you'll have seen this tray before. We're going to use that again tonight for our ice buns. I've got a piece of parchment paper, again siliconised if possible. I'm just going to put it over the top of it. And what I do is I get the fingers and I press into the corner. Do the same with this corner. And what you should be able to see then is a little indentation there. And all I do, I just cut into that indentation. Saves you messing around, don't just try and cut too much. Too much, doesn't matter. At an angle. And get a little bit of marge, just with another piece of paper. And I've just a little bit in. A little bit across the middle like that. When I do this now, it should hopefully all stick into it. Then it will fold in. It's a little bit neat. You can trim those edges off. If I haven't got it exactly neat, trim those edges off as much as you want. Make sure you don't get that near your doughs, because you don't want to find that in your dough, do you? And there you have a very quickly lined tray. You can use that for the ice buns as we have tonight, or for any cakes, nice big cake that you might want. When we're back from the coronavirus, you've got all your friends around, you can make a nice big cake. And that tray is ready to put our ice fingers on in a moment. Whilst we were away, all I've done is I've got some of my fresh yeast, I've weighed it out into 30-gram pieces, wrapped it in cling film and put it into this plastic tub. So that is now ready for the freezer. Simple. As Ella said, it looks like a load of drugs. It's not, I promise you that. Okay, our dough. Covered with a nice, clean tablecloth. It's doubled, tripled. It's massive, as you can see there. And all we're going to do now is knock it back. We're going to weigh these individually into little buns. So just by pulling it out, holding that again, I'm going to give it a quick knock back. Just to got that air out. We've got a nice dough there. I weighed this before. It's just about 1,000 grams. 1 kilo. And to fit them onto the tray, you can do it any way you want. You can have 2 or 3 rows. You can have them running that way. Entirely up to you. Now I'm going to weigh these at 50 grams, so I'm going to get about 20 out of it.
I don't know where you came from, 'cause I don't know where you've been. But it really doesn't matter. Grab a chair and fill your platter and dig, dig, dig.
Okay, so you saw me there. I've cut out 20 pieces. There's a little bit of dough left. I've just split it roughly between them all. You can do any weight you want. 50 is quite a good size for a bun, which you'll see when they come out. Do half that size if you want. Depends who you're doing it for. You can do a massive one. Anyway, so all I'm going to do now is roll them round first of all, place them along here, and then we'll roll them out long. So the traditional finger one. All I'm doing, I'm getting the fingers, I'm literally clawing them, and I'm just going to move the dough around inside these claws so it becomes round. That's all I'm doing there. Nice and round. I got them all about 50 grams, so the idea is if you get them all the same shape, number one, you're not going to have your daughters or sons moaning that one's got a bigger one than the other one. And secondly, they'll bake roughly at the same time. So if you had a bigger piece on one, then they'll take a lot longer to bake, as you can imagine. So you don't want to burn them. Nice and round. There you go. Just move these because that's what the time frame was. Time elapse. I keep saying time frame and I keep getting a dirty look from behind the video, so I do apologise, Ella. So what am I going to do? I'm going to do 5 fours. So I'm going to put 5 across, 4 down. All right. Some people like to really space them out, so each bun bakes individually. I like mine to be what we call batched. So when they bake, they will bake and they'll come together as they rise. They'll come together, and you'll see this in a bit. So that each of the sides, or certainly the ones in the middle, the sides are nice and soft. That's called batching. So if you see a batch loaf, it means that they've put them all together and they're not individually baked. They almost look like they haven't got a side, but they have. So all I'm going to do is take each of these, I'm going to roll it roughly the same size. Now it's a gentle but firm sort of roll, if you like. So I'm going to do that. So I'll just roll it out between your fingers. Obviously, you can do 2 at a time if you start getting. And I was using my fingers there, but try not to do it all in the middle, or else what you'll get is something like a dumbbell bar or a dog bone, as my boss used to say. You don't want dog bones, you want nice finger rolls. So there's going to be a bit longer, these will all batch together beautifully. Nice fat ones there, yes. So just roll them out. And all you're going to do after you've rolled them out, another brew, what they prove up. If you can try not to allow them, there's a little bit of a seam on the bottom there, can you see that? So if I was to roll that out now and have that seam, it's just there now, pointed up, as it proves up, that would start opening out and it'd look, well, pretty horrible. So keep that at the bottom, because you won't see that then when we bake it. And you'll be able to get a nice smooth finish on your iced fingers. So there we have 20 finger buns. Now you could have done this with that bread dough the other day and used it for finger buns, like for a finger rolls, whatever you call them, for your hot dogs or something along those lines. And all we do is cover it again. So I'm going to cover that and give it a few hours. And for a few hours, give it about an hour. So that they, once again, double up in size. And when we come back, we'll put them in the oven, and then probably this time of night we'll be icing them in the morning. So we'll do that in the morning, and all we need for that is icing sugar and water. If you want to add any flavours, if you want to add any colours, you can do. But the ice finger, water and icing sugar. See you in a bit. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the finger buns are now finger buns. The ice buns are ready for the oven. As you can see, they've proved up, double up in size. When I was talking about them batching together, can you see how it's batched together? They've come together. Now as they go in the oven, they will rise a little bit more, a bit of oven spring as it's known, and they'll all come together beautifully. They'll be about 10 minutes in the oven now, and they should come out absolutely gorgeous. So here we go. Oven temperature, sorry, 180 degrees. A little bit lower than your normal breads because you've got all that sugar in it and all that enriching agent. So that should now 10 minutes and we'll be back to it. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so this is the morning after the night before, so to speak. So we baked the ice buns last night. When they cooled down, just covered in some cling film just to keep them moist. And when they come out of the oven, they feel quite crispy, but they are now a lot softer. Can you see me pressing down on that? Can you see what I mean by the batching? So they've baked together. So when we pull that off, if we didn't and we kept them separate, this would be all the way around. But we've got some nice softness. Give it that one, I don't know if you can see that. I'm just going to turn it round. So they're batched together, so there's no sides on them, if you like, so they'll be nice and soft. And Ella's going to take some of them to work today, aren't you, for your mates? So I'm going to make some water icing for these, a simple water icing. This is roughly the recipe, 125 grams of icing sugar. Now I've got a bit more than that in there, but because I'm doing 20 of them. And approximately 15 mils of warm water. Now you want your icing to be about body temperature, just so it gives a nice gloss on it. If you get it too hot, it will go brittle and it'll break. If it's too cold, it'll just run off and it'll just be a runny mess on the icing. So you want it about body temperature. If it's a bit too cool, when you put the warm water in there, stick it in the microwave for a few seconds just to warm it through. But just be careful, don't put it in for 30 seconds, else it will come out bubbling and boiling. It'll be awful. So what we're going to do in a minute is we're going to, well actually I've got a lemon as well here. What I'm going to put is a bit of lemon juice in there just to freshen it up, just to give it a bit of bite, if you like. It's lovely with a bit of lemon in it. I could also, if I wanted to, add a bit of colour to it. I'm not going to on this occasion. I like my ice buns nice and white, but you can put colours into it. And if you go on the internet, you can look at all the different shapes and colours and all the sorts of bits and pieces. We're making a nice simple ice bun with ingredients we've got in the drawer. I've got some in here because I do a bit of baking and so do the girls. You can also decorate with some of these wonderful pearls or whatever they are that you can get from your local supermarkets. You can get them from anywhere. But a word of warning. We know what's in here, allergen wise. We've got wheat flour, so we've got gluten in there. So if you've got gluten intolerant people in your family, friends that are coming round after the coronavirus pandemic, or you send them to your neighbours, double check whether they have allergens to gluten, to eggs that are in there, to milk and butter that we've put in there. And if you are using things like this, just double check the ingredients list, because weirdly, this is a chocolate covered silver pearl, basically. Sorry, it's a piece of chocolate that's covered in a sugar base. But in it, it's got milk, it's got wheat, it's got soya, and weirdly, it's got fish in it. So vegans, vegetarians, be careful if they're allergic to fish or soya or wheat or what was the other one, milk. Be careful of these. All right, so just read the labels. So I'm not going to use those because we don't know who we're giving these out to, whether they've got any of the allergens. So I need a spoon. I'm going to put my spoon, I'm going to use this one. So I've got some icing sugar in here. I've sieved it. I've got 400 grams in here. We're going to put some lemon juice in it. Now obviously lemon juice on water, it's a liquid. So just watch out for any pips because you don't want anybody eating a pip. You can run it through your fingers if you want. All I'm doing is squeezing it. You can use a lemon squeezer if you want, but if you haven't got one, you can use the back of a spoon and press it into the lemon. But I'm just squeezing the lemon. Don't forget, some beautiful zest there, so scrape that off and you could have put that into the dough if you'd have wanted to. So we don't let anything go to waste. I'm just going to disappear over here a second else. And it's a little bit of water, can you see that? Now I'm not going to put all that in, I'm going to put it in bit by bit. If you put it all in, it's going to go really runny potentially, and you have to add more icing sugar. And for those of you who've been shopping lately, you'll know that there's not a lot of icing sugar about, weirdly, because everybody's doing this sort of thing and doing a bit of home baking. If you are lucky enough, you might see some of the icing sugar just rising there. If you are lucky enough to have something like a KitchenAid behind and you do mix it on there, be really careful. Don't go at it whole log. because it will fly everywhere. It is dust basically. So just be really, really careful when you're mixing it. Not that it's really, for this amount, going to affect you, but as you can imagine, it's going to make a sticky mess all over your kitchen. It's been known, we've seen it, I've seen it many a time where somebody's just gone to use it on a mixer and it's just gone everywhere. So I think I've added too much now. I think I have. I think I've just made that fatal mistake of adding a bit too much. I have. That's going to be too runny. It's lucky we've got some spare icing sugar in it. So I've made that mistake. That, at this moment in time, is too runny to put on the icing buns. On the ice buns, sorry. Thankfully, I've got some more icing sugar here, just in case. So I'm going to add some more icing sugar. Just sieve it in. And just sticking it up again. Things go wrong. That's what happens. But now you've seen it go wrong, at least you'll know what to do next time it happens to you. So can you see that's a little bit thicker now? It almost looks too thick and you wouldn't necessarily get that onto your ice fingers. Now I'm just going to, I have washed my hands, I promise you that. Now that's still cool, even though I've put warm water in it. So what I am going to do is I'm going to just chuck it in the microwave for a few seconds. I'll put it on for 30 seconds. And I'm just going to gently now heat this through. You can, of course, put this in a bowl on top of some simmering water in a pan on your hob. You've got to be really careful. Don't put direct heat on it, so I'm going to warm that a little bit more. So when I say you want it as warm as body temperature, if you touch it and it doesn't feel hot and it doesn't feel cold, it's about body temperature, so it's going to be, you know, warmish. So that's how you work out your body temperature. If you've got a thermometer, about 37 degrees, it's perfect. Just a touch more. Touch more. And we're just going to adjust this again as we need it. So it can seem a bit of a faff, but it's not. You see how it just loosens up as it gets warm as well. I don't know whether you can see that, but it does. So that's about right. I'll just wipe my fingers a second. So I am just going to add a little bit more water to this, but as you saw before, I made that fatal mistake of just tipping it in and just being a bit blasé. To save you having that issue, just get yourself a teaspoon and just add a bit at a time. That way, you're not going to have to do what I did and try and redeem it by putting extra icing sugar in it. And then more water and then more icing sugar, and so a bit at a time. That's what I should have told you at the beginning. I didn't. I'm a fool. That's where I am. I'll put a little bit more in as well now. I have. So it just keeps going back and forth. Look, it's your icing sugar, your ice buns. If it don't quite work, it doesn't look right, then that's fair enough. I just want them just to start running off slowly like that. Okay. Still beautiful. Right. Take your nice fingers. You might have 5, 10, 15, it doesn't matter. All I'm going to do is I'm going to split them a little bit. Now, if you haven't got enough icing sugar to do them all, that's absolutely fine. Do you know what you can do with them? You can freeze them. You can put them in the freezer, cover them tightly with a bit of cling film, put them in the freezer and reuse them another day. Now, I know there's only 5 of us in this family, and 20 divided by 5, for those of you who know maths, equals 4. 4 each, not many, is it else? We'll get through them, won't we? But we've got friends and we're going to give some of these out. So I'm going to do as much as I can with this icing sugar. And Ella's just gone, I'm not giving them out, I want them. So icing sugar, water icing, ice finger, another finger. And what you're going to do, you're going to dip it in. You see that, Ella? Not so it covers it. Pull it out again. To get rid of your excess, just crook your finger over it. You can use a palette knife and just rub it off. And keep doing that. In, dip, in, dip. Use your finger just to run it off. And that is proving to be a lovely ice finger. If you need to re-dip it, you can do. So if you think, oh, I haven't quite got enough, I'll put it in again. And my finger is, I'm just rubbing it down the side. As you can see with those ice fingers. And now, if you do have any of those issues, like I said last night, or as you see on this video, a little bit earlier, where you've put it upside down and it's opened out a little bit, these will be hidden. Want to do some pink ones or not? No, we don't want pink ones, do we? And that's not trying to be sexist or anything like that, is it, else? Now, what can you do with these ice fingers? Well, the simple thing is, get yourself a brew and go and sit in the sun at this moment in time and enjoy it. Obviously, if it's raining, which it invariably does up in Lancashire, but it hasn't done for a long time and we're starting to dry out, aren't we? You can sit inside and have them. Hey, what I like to do, and Ella's going to pull her face at me in a minute, is I like to split these in half, whip some cream up, pipe some cream in, and a little bit of jam. Absolutely dreamland for me, that. But, hey ho, Else won't let me do that, will you, Else? She's shaking her head behind there. Now, as you get down, you might find it getting a bit cooler and drier. You might just need to scrape it down the bowl. Not going to have enough room on there. But just keep dipping them. And we'll have all of them done in a minute. And all I can say is, if you don't enjoy some nice little simple things like that, we don't need masses of ingredients. We don't need to make them all fancy. You can do if you want, like I say, add colour to it. Add your degrees to it, your little decorations. Spin it with chocolate. You can do what you want with it, but it can't be anything nicer than a little ice bun like that. Beautiful, soft, little bit of icing sugar on top, just with a nice cup of tea. Enjoy, everyone.